Yesterday we discovered how invisible magnetic fields became one of humanity's greatest inventions, the electric motor. For centuries, scientists including William Gilbert, Hans Christian Ørsted, Andre Marie Ampere, Michael Faraday, Nikola Tesla, and many others slowly uncovered one of nature's invisible forces and learned how to transform electricity into motion. By the end of the 19th century, humanity had built motors powerful enough to drive factories, elevators, trains, pumps, and eventually the first industrial machines. But a new problem immediately appeared. If you were trying to build the world's first robotic arm, you would want to connect a motor. You'd have to apply electricity. There's a shaft might begin turning. Wonderful, right? Now, if you stop right there, exactly 37 degrees, not 36, not 38, exactly 37 degrees. How? The motor doesn't know. It can't see, it can't count, it has no self-awareness. Without that awareness, every movement becomes little more than a guess. Today, that awareness has a name. Feedback. Without feedback, robotics as we know it just wouldn't exist. Here we go. Think about your own body for a moment. Close your eyes. Cover mine. Peek a little bit. Raise your right arm and touch your nose. Most people can do it without thinking. But how do we do it? Your eyes are closed. You aren't measuring any angles. You aren't solving any equations. Instead, your brain is receiving a constant stream of information from specialized sensory receptors inside your muscles and tendons, your joints, and your inner ear. Together, they provide a truly remarkable sense called proprioception, your awareness of where your body is in space. Even in complete darkness, your brain knows where your hands are. Robots don't possess muscles or nerves. They have to have another way to answer that same question. Where am I? Long before robots, humanity faced a similar challenge. During the Industrial Revolution, machines became increasingly complex. Steam engines powered textile mills. Water wheels drove factories. Mechanical looms operated fast. Real fast. As these machines grew larger, one question became increasingly important. How fast is the machine turning? And more importantly, has it reached the correct position? Engineers realized that producing a motion wasn't enough. They had to measure that motion. And without measurement, there could be no precision. One of the earliest solutions appeared in clocks. For centuries, clockmakers had developed ingenious systems of gears and escapements that counted motion. Each swing of a pendulum, each oscillation of a balance wheel, each rotation of a gear, motion became something that could be measured. Those same principles would later inspire engineers working on completely different machines. As industry expanded during the 19th century, railroads, factories, manufacturing equipment demanded increasingly accurate measurements of rotating machinery. Mechanical counters appeared, rotating discs, cam-operated switches, Geneva mechanisms, ratchets. Each represented another attempt to answer that same question. How far has this machine moved? And then electricity changed everything. Instead of relying entirely on gears and mechanical counters, engineers realized they could convert motion into electrical signals. Every rotation could become information. And this simple idea would eventually just completely transform robotics. Now, let's build the simplest position sensor imaginable. I'm going to give you another experiment to do. Take a cardboard tube from a paper towel roll, or toilet paper roll if you got one, and you draw one thick black line running from one end to the other. Now, slowly rotate the tube. Each time that line comes back into view, say 1, and then keep turning. 2, 3, 4. Congratulations! What have you just built? You have built the world's simplest rotary encoder. Now, what are you measuring? You're not measuring distance, although you technically could. What you're doing is you're counting change. Now, if you imagine replacing your eyes in this, counting that 1, 2, 3. Instead, you're using an electronic light sensor, and instead of you counting, a computer counts. Instead of one black line, there are hundreds or thousands. And suddenly, the computer knows exactly how far something has turned. Now, if you ask yourself, what happens if we make the stripes smaller? More stripes and smaller stripes mean greater precision. And that simple idea lies inside countless modern robots. By the early 20th century, electrical engineering had matured enough to make practical rotary encoders possible. Some used electrical contacts, others used magnetic fields, and eventually engineers discovered that light offered a truly elegant solution. A disc filled with precisely spaced transparent and opaque sections spins between a light source and a tiny detector. Every time light passes through, the detector produces a pulse. If you count the pulses, you know how far the shaft has rotated. If you measure how quickly they arrive, you know its speed. If you determine their direction, you know whether the motor is moving forward or backwards. And motion has become numbers. Now, not every encoder uses light. Some use magnets. Tiny magnetic poles rotate past sensitive Hall effect sensors. Others use changes in capacitance. Some rely on inductive effects. Others combine several methods for extraordinary precision. Different environments for these require different technologies. Factories can be dusty and cars can vibrate. Spacecraft, of course, experience a tremendous amount of radiation. Medical equipment demands microscopic accuracy. And engineers choose the sensing technology that best fits the problem they're trying to solve. They have loads of tools in their toolbox to create whatever robotics that they need to build. Any kind of machine that they need to build. We have all sorts of things for you to be able to choose from. And this idea became especially important after World War II, when factories began introducing numerical control and early industrial automation. Machines were no longer operated entirely by hand. Instead, they followed programmed instructions. And for that to work, the controller had to know exactly where every moving part was located. Guessing just, it wasn't acceptable. A drilling machine that misses by 1 millimeter can ruin an entire part. A surgical robot missing by 1 millimeter could have far more serious consequences. Precision became everything. During the second half of the 20th century, companies such as Heidenhain, BEI, Dynapar, US Digital, Renishaw, and many, many others refined encoder technology to amazing levels. Modern optical encoders can resolve hundreds of thousands or even millions of distinct positions during a single rotation. Some industrial systems measure motion with accuracy smaller than the width of a human hair. Others can detect changes measured in fractions of a micrometer. These devices became one of robotics' unsung heroes. Most people don't notice them. We don't think about them. We just want the machine to work. But every precise robotic movement depends on them working. Now, if you imagine commanding a robot arm to pick up a coffee mug, or heck, my water bottle, right? The processor sends instructions. The motor produces motion. The encoder immediately reports exactly how far the joint has moved. If it's too far, the controller corrects it. If it's not far enough, the controller commands more motion. And that cycle repeats hundreds or even thousands of times every second. Move, measure, correct. Move, measure, Correct. That is feedback. And without it, robots don't work. And modern robotics just wouldn't exist. But even perfect position isn't enough. If that same robot arm reaches the coffee mug perfectly, if it grabs it, now it closes its fingers. Too gently, and the mug slips. Too hard, and the mug might shatter. Not my water bottle, though. It's pretty tough. Position tells the robot where it is. But it doesn't tell it how much force it's applying. To answer that question, the robot needs another sense. One very, very similar to our own sense of touch. And that is exactly where we'll continue next time. For now, I'm Nomadic IT, and as always, I hope this helps.